Slingers, Bodacious Rods, and Penstones is coming back at you with another update on the 68 Charger once again. It's been a couple of weeks, probably about a week or so since I put up something on this car. I had an opportunity to go ahead and kind of sort of mock it up, and I just couldn't stand the tension of seeing all the parts blown up. It was time to put it together. So I did. I put it together and it looked pretty cool. And then I decided to go ahead and detail and assemble the interior, much of which I have kind of hidden from view because at this very moment I have the interior inside the car. And we'll go ahead and take a little bit of a look at that here in a minute. But today's video is more about the unforeseen challenges of assembling this car after having gone ahead and done so much modification and kind of sub-assembling this vehicle in a not exactly direction stock manner. One of the things that came across was once I had put together the tub for the interior in assemble, I had a real hard time getting it back into the body of the car, and so I had to take the firewall off. Fortunately, everything was put together with CA glue instead of epoxy, and it wasn't impossible to do it. But I'm going to definitely have to rethink how I assemble that and finish build up. Another thing that really caught me off guard is I found out how much is too much clear coat finally. And what happened was after I put on the decal, you guys probably got a good look at the decals in the video I did of just stills with the mock-up. But what I did is I wanted to clear coat those down, and so I put a liberal coat, a clear coat on it of, again, future finish. And it looked really great while I was doing it, and then I set it down to rest, and overnight what happened was the very bottom edge of the car pulled up where the future was just too much to cling to the surface, and so I wound up with some pretty hefty runs that had only sort of dried a little bit, and I took them down with some Windex because ammonia-based window cleaner is capable of dissolving the future. So I went ahead and did a little bit of that and cleaned up the spots. So now the next step is going to have to be repairing the blemishes that were left by the cleanup job. So now I'm going to probably go ahead and buff it down as lightly as I can to smooth out the area, and then retreat it one more time with some future, just to get the sheen uniform all the way down to the bottom. And I know it's nitpicky, but in person you can see it pretty plain as day that there's some fish eyes and bubbles at the bottom of the paint that are dramatically out of scale. But if you look at the top of the car, it is fantastic. It's shiny, it's blue, it looks about a mile deep, and the sparkles seem to kind of hover in the panels. So I really like that a lot. And in a moment I'm going to go ahead and get the camera up and close, and we'll go ahead and take a close-up look at it. So hang tight. Alright, here's a quick exterior walk around from just the body and interior perspective. You can see kind of pretty well down inside the shifter setup I've got going on. Photo etch steering wheel. Scratch built racing seat. Street Hemi logos on the roll cage. And then as we rotate a little bit more, you kind of get a glimpse of a Mopar logo on the back bar above the fire extinguisher. The glass is not in the kit yet. This is just a mock-up. You can see the Dodge logo on the front bar. And as we get to the front, you'll notice that the hood doesn't seem to want to go in very well. Yeah, sort of fits. Fits really good when the chassis is not inside. But seems to be pinching the front edge of the hood just a little bit with the installed model. So we will figure out why that is. So you can see how it's just a little bit off. doesn't do that when the body's not on. Now we get around to the driver's side, and you can see that we've duplicated the Hemi logo on the roll bar. Get a glimpse of some of the wiring on the interior. Another good look at the shifter there. Get a look at the rear quarters. I still have to put the gas cap on it. The rear end fits nicely. Even with the tubs, everything fits nicely, except for the hood. Most of the clear coat came out really nice. A couple of blums at the very bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause and go ahead and disassemble again so you guys can see the interior unimpeded.
I don't ask for permission. This is my chance to fly. Maybe enough ain't enough for you, but it's my turn to try. But you never miss me till I got a back city address.
Great news, the interior tub survived its first in and out. And here you can see how the hood sits nicely in the frame. Now that the body is taken apart again, so I'm gonna have to figure out what's pushing on it and causing that warpage. But it fits. It has fit since the very beginning, so there's no reason it shouldn't fit now. So there's the body in its glory. A little bit of love to be done to these bottom panels here. As you can see, there's some blemish going on in there. There's a good view of the blemish right there on this rear panel. Right there, the front rocker. There we go. We got the same problem on this side. Maybe not quite so drastic, but yeah. There you go. Beating it up. That's why I put carpet under it. Anyway, you can see it all on that bottom beading and whatnot. We have to go ahead and buff that down and sweeten it up. So that's the body. Anxiously awaiting its cleanup, which I shouldn't have had to do, but I wanted to clear coat those stickers. The devil's in the details, right? Devil's in the details. Anyway, some more details for you guys. Here we go. This is a above view of the interior. Get a good look in there. Got the dual battery set up to be wired. Got the Lenco style shifter. Kind of digging on that. Got the driver's seat. Funny car cage. All scratch built. The only thing that wasn't scratch built in that cage is the original roll bar that came with the kit, which I use as a primary template. You guys that have this kit will recognize it, and you can see the extinguisher there. There's another look down inside. You can see the shifter and the steering wheel. Kind of kept the gauges to a minimum. I didn't want to draw a whole lot of attention to it. It's funny how, as this build progressed, I definitely chose my battles with certain things to detail out and certain things to not worry about. As you can see, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the trunk area. I didn't spend a whole lot of time detailing out the doors. I just blacked them out. I did put some detail on the, the stock stuff that was in there. But I mean, I didn't go crazy. I just, this is a race car. It should look reasonably purpose-built. And then something I was a little upset about is I added these cool pedals. Came with the kit. I figured they'd be a lot more visible, but by the time they were down in there in the bottom of that interior tub, they're virtually non-existent. So bitchin' cool footprint Hemi foot pedal. Used it, but barely visible. I might modify the way that goes together once I figure out how I'm going to put this thing in the car. I actually had to disassemble this. This was on there before. but I jumped the gun in adding the brake booster and whatnot, so I definitely need to follow the directions a little better. So anyway, that's the close-up on the interior. There's not a whole lot more I was planning on doing with that. Again, I didn't really detail the bottom out too much. I'm thinking about going back and doing some small details with regards to that drive shaft loop which I custom fabbed. And you know, you'll notice this is a stock rear end with tubs. Those tubs definitely are new. So there we go. That's the interior, and it survived its first in and out of the body, because you know we've got to do it a few times before everything's ready to final assemble. And I hope you guys like what you see. I'm starting to really dig the turnout. I love the way the blue on the roll cage accents. Once you look inside through the window, you can see that roll cage going all the way down. It's exciting to see that way in there. Even behind the seat, you can still see that roll cage making its way down. It definitely stands out in the right ways, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, fellas, I got the 41 Chevy pickup is also being worked on. Not a whole lot to show just yet. I'm still kind of in the mock-up phases and deciding what's going to get worked on and how. Real excited to use some custom wheels that I bought for it and a couple of other cool details. I'm probably going to make this truck so that it's able to be disassembled easily. The cab will come off so you can see the interior real well. And I'm going to do a custom rear end, a custom bed, and we'll see how it goes, but I've got a few things going on for that. Anyway, alright fellas, Bodacious Rods and Customs bringing you the 68 Charger Street Outlaw, getting into its assembly and mock-up phases. Hoping you guys are enjoying this build. It's been a blast, and can't wait to show you guys a lot more when this thing comes together. The mock-up phase really turned me on, so can't wait to see it with the front suspension in there, looking good, looking gnarly.
Nothing stays the same, unchanged. And you hit the ground running, change. Ain't nothing stays the same, unchanged. Yeah, you hit the ground running.
Alright guys, life is full of happy accidents, and just one of those accidents happened not long ago when I was in the process of putting the firewall back on here. Went ahead and disassembled the brake booster to get that clear so that it would make it past the fender wall, which in retrospect I probably should have cut off. Anyway, the good side of the story is in the process of putting the firewall back on and wiring it back up, the gas pedal assembly fell off, and one thing that I was really upset about the way it fit together was that the pedals, although they are cool, are virtually invisible from the car unless it is broken apart. So you couldn't see them. I wanted that to be something you could see, because I did go through the effort of getting a aftermarket gas pedal, which I'm psyched about. So I remounted them, and this time I remounted them in a much more visible position. So now you can actually see the pedals down in there, and I'm very excited that it's not in vain that I went ahead to get the cool foot stomper and my aftermarket gas pedal replacement steering wheel. Because I'll tell you what, the one it came with broke so fast I couldn't even believe it. Another quick glimpse of the interior while I've got it broke apart, because it's pretty sweet. Don't have the seat belt together yet, but that may happen in the future. But I need some more patience before I get into that. I didn't want this whole build to be holding off on a seat belt, because I've got big plans for it, as you can probably imagine. So there it is, guys, in progress.